Yeah, that is unique because I've never heard of that before,
Yeah.
actually. So
Yep.
that is very unique, for you guys to do that. And that's huge. That's really huge. Um, because maybe somebody could, like, maybe they could borrow the money from a family member and say, "Listen, this is a legitimate thing that's happening here, and for reimbursement of this surgery for, whatever, or the treatment for hazelnut, or, that type of thing." So, yeah. So so even if you're already established at a vet, clinic, like I'm already established, so you call up and you say, "Hey, Maria just called us, or she just filled out this form and she's got to get some dental work
Mhm.
for Tony because he's got an abscess in his mouth," or something like that, or he swallowed something or
Yeah.
whatever, because he's
Yeah.
only 9 months old.
Yeah.
Like that type of thing. Is that something that um, you guys work with, that type of
Absolutely.
situation?
Absolutely. We just
Okay.
had it yesterday in the state of Utah. There's a veterinarian there, and I called and they hadn't brought the pet in yet, but we were
Mhm.
able to kind of prepay for that visit based on the funds that that pet parent had raised. And
Right.
so, and every veterinarian is a little bit different.
Mhm.
Some veterinarians have just jumped on board. They love what we're doing, and so
Mhm.
they put some information in their clinics for and introduce philanthropy to their pet parents. And some of them even create the philanthropy fundraiser for their pet parent,
Oh.
because not everybody's real tech savvy. I mean, you can do it on your phone, but not
Mhm.
everybody's is. So they will provide that assistance. Some of them, but the majority of it is pet parents who introduce philanthropy to their veterinarian.
Yeah.
Frankly, we've never had a no. We've never had a veterinarian say, "Nope, we don't want your money." They
Yeah.
usually don't
No, we
care,
don't want
how it's going to get paid, right?
anything.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. We don't want to save anybody, and we don't want that money. So,
And,
yeah.
and I'll tell you another unique thing, reason why veterinarians are embracing this is the doctor, the veterinarian mentioned it earlier. He told me that in 1 year he had over $100,000 in IOU slips. And he said, that's just,
Mhm.
lost revenue. I can't write that off. He said, that's just, lost revenue and so
Yeah.
on. And so, and instead of veterinarians discounting their services and trying to do things for free, what they can
Mhm.
do is they can actually contribute the same value of that amount to their client's fundraiser because
Mhm.
they're going to get that money back and a charitable write-off. And what it also does is it promotes philanthropy, or we like to say philanthropy. It promotes that in the community. It
Yeah.
engages, dignity is so important to me. It
Yeah.
allows the pet parent who's already in a desperate situation,
Mhm.
they're probably feeling extremely uncomfortable to say, you know what, you're gonna save your pet, and we're gonna help
Mhm.
you in that. We're
Mhm.
not gonna just take that pet away from you or take that burden away, but we're gonna empower you to be able to
Mhm.
raise those funds. So it's just another
That's
another benefit.
amazing. You're an advocate. Really, like a huge advocate, like a financial advocate, but also really an emotional advocate to
Yeah.
people, and to veterinarians who maybe they're like, "I really wish I was able to do this, I don't wanna be like, my colleague who's 100,000 in the hole."
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, um, I've got a staff to pay, I've got
Mhm.
insurance, I've got this, and that, and it's like, okay, um, that's that's huge. This is amazing. Like,
Oh,
I went onto your site yesterday and I was like, going through the different pages and stuff, and I was like, wow, this is really amazing.
oh,
It really, yeah,
well,
it's really huge.
uh,
Um, yeah, go
I was
ahead.
gonna say real quick before I forget,
Yeah.
onto your point, as far as the
Mhm.
veterinarians, the biggest thing I've learned, and again, coming into the whole pet industry as a pet parent and now as a professional, yeah, I had no idea. But the biggest thing I learned is that same veterinarian shared with me that veterinary professionals have one of the highest suicide rates of any
Yes.
profession. They're 2 to 3 times more likely to experience mental health distress than the
Yes.
average person. And I had no idea. And a lot of that stems from that financial burden.
Mhm.
Maybe it's the act of having to euthanize pets. Maybe it's just the financial burden. Maybe it's just having to say no to so many families.
Yeah.
He says, You never do enough. He kind of joked. He said, "I had a family that after all that, and this person actually got an award for in the community for his work with pets." And
Mm,
then he said, "I got chastised on Facebook for not helping a raccoon in someone's yard." Right? So they feel the weight of that. And he
yeah.
said, in the last 2 months, I've had three professional colleagues that have taken their own lives, and these are
Mhm.
educated, affluent, brilliant people, family, and so it's a real issue. And so I had no idea the extent that this philanthropy platform and resource would combat that mental health crisis. And the very first case we ever had, it took us 2 years, by the way, to get philanthropy structured, to register as a nonprofit, to get registered in every state in the country, to be able to fundraise, and just to exist. It took 2 years. And so in December of 2023, almost 2 years ago, we turned our website on for what we call a soft opening. And I'll never forget, I'm at the mall with my wife and kids, and I get a little notification on my phone. I'm like, whoa, someone's actually using this platform. This is exciting, right? And so I had a call, and I called and I talked to Dr. Hester, emergency vet, and she said, Adam, you have no idea how
Mm,
thankful we are for philanthropy. It's our very
mm,
first client, very first customer, very first user.
yeah.
And I said, well, tell me why. She says, well, we have a dog named Bo here, a young family, young children, 2 weeks before Christmas. And this is her words. She said, I'm faced with this ethical decision.
Mm,
They can't afford his surgery. It's $4,000. But I know ethically, if I did the surgery, this young dog will live a long and happy life. But what do I do? She says, I'm crying. My entire staff is crying. Pet parents are crying. Kids are crying. Dogs probably crying. Everybody's crying. She said, I'm literally seconds away from euthanizing this dog. And one of her texts says, wait, Dr. Hester, stop. What about philanthropy? I mean, she may not have even said it correctly, right? It's a mouthful.
yeah.
Philanthropy. I said, what do you mean? What's that? And so she, stops what she's doing and they go over the website. She pulls up on her phone. I said, wait a minute. We can actually raise them. I can pay it myself and get reimbursed. And so she did.
That's amazing.
And so literally that pet was able to, Bo is his name, Precious Bo was able to go home. Think about just what that meant to that those children, and the family. And she said, Adam, instead of my staff going home 2 weeks before Christmas, devastated, we
Yeah.
instead went home like we should save that dog's life.
Yeah.
She said, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it really, to me, speaks to that ethical challenge that every day these veterinarians carry the weight of that. And so if philanthropy can
Yeah.
just alleviate that a sliver,
Mhm.
it's worth it.
Yeah. That compassion fatigue is real. It's huge. It is, really devastating, not only to the veterinarians, but to their staff, the vet techs and the vet assistants and everybody, really, because, I mean, think about there's the highs and lows that one would go through in that type of environment, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and and because of that financial burden also adding to it, and yeah, it's it's crazy. It's just a crazy making situation. And that is something that, I've there is an amazing, she was a veterinary behaviorist, and I think I can't remember, it was maybe 10 years now. Dr. Sophia Yin, she committed suicide and she was brilliant.
Mm,
And it's like, you watch her videos, and I had the pleasure of going to a conference, and it was just she's amazing, and she's gone.
yeah.
And it's, if you have, any kind of mental health issues, and then you're going into a profession where you're, faced with that kind of, uh the loss, and yeah, the happies and all that stuff, but the loss, and damn it, I couldn't save that dog
Yeah.
because of X, Y, and Z, but now
Yeah.
it's because of financial reasons, and you
Yeah.
guys can provide that financial relief. I mean, that's amazing. So
Yeah.
how do you do that? Like, how does the fundraising work? Let's talk about the fundraising part of it.
Sure. Well, once that Furlanthropy fundraiser, so if you create one for Tony, once that goes live, and I'll have to tell you what you've seen so far, the website is our first generation website. So we're
Yeah, I
literally,
can't wait.
yeah, next week we're hopefully next, maybe even sooner, we'll launch our Furlanthropy 2.0, I like to say, our
Nice.
more robust platform. And with
Mhm.
that platform, it's awesome. We will be able to, when you click on your fundraiser, first, when you upload all the information, it's really user friendly.
That's
It
great.
only takes a few moments. You'll first create a profile on there, that account that you can look at, and there over the course of the year, every fundraiser that you do is shown in there. All your donations. A lot of our pet parents who have done fundraisers, they pay it forward. $10, maybe
Mm,
a year later or a month later, here's $10 towards. And so you'll be able to log in anytime and see all of your donations that you've
yeah.
given and all your donations that you've received. And then and when you do that, when you upload that information, you'll also upload information about the name of your veterinarian, the website, whatever information you have to make it as easy as
Mhm.
possible for us to distribute those funds.
Right.
So we can do that verification. And then the fun part, you get to love and brag on your pet and how special your family member is, and videos
Yeah.
and pictures. And then the second you share it on social media, on Facebook, it actually creates a second fundraiser that lives simultaneously. So it's two
Hmm.
separate fundraisers, but they're linked together. And so it's a really neat, and we're using some AI technology. We're able to position that in social media in a way that gives the pet parent an advantage to be seen. And then
Excellent.
here's the really exciting part. If you think about crowdfunding, which again is one of the biggest fundraising philanthropic engines in the world, activities in the world, we're the first nonprofit in that industry, which is really surprising. You would think fundraising should
Mm.
be done by nonprofits and fundraising professionals, not for-profit companies. But what makes it really unique is historically most people, when they give to a GoFundMe, for example,
Mhm.
it's $10, $20, maybe $100.
Right.
But the beauty of what we're doing with philanthropy is, for the first time ever, someone will click on your fundraiser, and yes, they can click from their credit card or debit card, Venmo, Cash App, all those
Mm.
things. But they can also click a button to donate a stock to your fundraiser, a stock gift.
Oh,
Or they can
really?
click on just clicking on a button right there, they can donate from a donor advised fund. And maybe if some of your listeners aren't real familiar with those other gift vehicles,
Yeah.
98% of all the wealth, frankly, just the means in America, 98% is actually held in what we call non-cash assets. So outside of individuals' bank account.
Right.
So if someone says, "Hey, Stephanie, would you be willing to give $100, $1,000, $1 million?" You would say, "Well, let me check my bank account." Because most people aren't
Mhm.
going to, yeah, here's my credit card. I'll go in debt. Right? Most people don't go into debt for charity, right? So you're just looking at your bank account. Well, with philanthropy, you have these individuals, and this is kind of who maybe have stocks. They've invested in the
Mhm.
stock market, and they know if they sell those stocks, for example, they're going to have to pay appreciated gains on those. They're going to be
Right.
kind of penalized. You know what? I'll just donate that to charity instead.
Yeah.
And so, literally, with a click of a button, they can donate it to your specific fundraiser.
That's
And then the
amazing.
other bucket, where the majority of wealth is in America, trillions of dollars, literally
Mhm.
sitting in what we call donor advised funds, DAF. And what that is when someone says, "I wish I had this problem. Hey, Stephanie, you've made too much money this year. And so we need you to donate some money to charity, so that way you don't get penalized with your tax bracket and all that." You're like,
Mhm.
you know what? I don't like charity. I don't care, right? Which we know is not true. But let's just
Right.
say, right? And so you're like, "What?" And
Yeah.
or I just don't have the time to choose. Oh, no
Yeah.
problem, Stephanie. We'll put your charitable gifts in this donor advised fund. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And it just sits there. And there's no requirement for that money to ever leave that account. And
Mm.
because of that, over the decades, over years, that has accumulated into trillions of dollars in America, just sitting there, that can do a lot of good. And
Amazing.
so, but here's the thing, you cannot take money out of that and just use it for whatever. You can't say, "Well, you know what? My neighbor has a need. I want to take some money." Or, "You know what? This GoFundMe is really compelling. I want to take money out of my donor advised fund and give it to GoFund." You can't, because it has to
Oh.
be a legal 501(c)(3) registered nonprofit. The IRS will not let you distribute from your retirement account or from your donor advised fund unless it's a nonprofit. So it's never been done before. So now think about it as a fundraiser. You're no longer just tapping into 2%. You're tapping
Mm.
into the whole amount of not just wealth, but means in America.
Especially these days, how where our technology has taken us, and I mean, I am also in a 3-day AI seminar right now, started yesterday and watching it, and it's gonna start again in like a couple hours or whatever. But I'm like, yeah, we've got to get with the program because this is where these things are going, and you have to learn how to use technology and the lack of cash money,
Mhm.
you know, to be able to it's brilliant. It's really brilliant because you can really tap into so much more. Yeah, I
Mhm.
didn't even think of that. That's
Yeah.
like brilliant. You're so smart.
Eh, well, I'm gonna record that. We are recording, so I need to play that for my kids.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and your wife
and
probably
my wife too, right?
sometimes. Yeah.
Yes, but
You
but
and the
also
dog are tight, but you everybody else, all
yes,
the
yes,
two-leggers,
yes, ma'am,
you
yes,
just
ma'am.
play that. Yeah.
Well,
But
well, you know,
really, that's
yeah.
great. That's a great idea.
It really does. It just changes the whole. And I'll give you a good example. A young lady who had just gotten married, and sadly, the day after her wedding, right before she left for her honeymoon, her dog needed emergency surgery. Dog
Mm.
passed away. It was $19,000. She
Oh my
cancels the
god.
honeymoon and says, "You know what? I'll have to do a GoFundMe." But she said, Adam, all of my family had just blessed me, my husband financially, his side, my like with for our wedding gifts.
Yeah.
So we were able to raise 3,000, but that's it. And she goes, that was 5 years ago, and I'm still
Wow.
paying that debt. I said, well, if philanthropy, you could actually raise. I said, did your dad have by chance stocks? Oh yeah, he does stocks all the time. Does
Mhm.
your grandpa have a donor advised fund? I think so. I think I've heard of that. Well, your dad could donate a stock gift for $5,000 or $10,000. Your grandpa could donate from his donor advised fund. Boom, it's taken care of. And
Wow.
so no one's ever thought of that before because
Yeah.
legally you couldn't do that unless you're a nonprofit. And
Right.
so it just changes. And I think sometimes in charity world we think, well, it's just about the mission. It's just about helping others. But the truth of the matter is, regardless of if you're giving money to the American Red Cross or you're giving money to World Help or you're giving money to your local charity or to philanthropy, the number one reason any of us ever give to any cause, any charity is actually not the mission of the charity. It's actually to fulfill something within our heart.
Make us feel
It
better.
starts
Mhm.
there, right? And
Right.
and and it's, giving is never not personal, and so
Mhm.
it starts. So there's nothing wrong. In fact, it's honorable to say, how can we make your kindness, your philanthropic spirit, how can we honor you in that to make it as
Mm.
easy and beneficial for you as well? Well, we can give you that peace of mind that no scams, no fraud. And we can make it easy. We can tell the story really well. And we can make sure your
Mhm.
gift goes where it's supposed to go. And we can make it special where you can make a gift in tribute to your own pet. So that
Mm.
makes it special. But what if there's a way to make it even easier to give? So if you're sitting there like, man, I really want to help this cause. I love Stephanie. I really want to help Tony, but I just don't know if I have the money. Oh, that's right. These stocks sitting over here. Wow, that's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
so it's just a neat. And
That's
one last
amazing.
last little sliver on that, with the new laws that are changing every year, we tend to
Sure.
think of, well, only 20% of Americans itemize on their taxes. So do I really need a charitable gift receipt? Most 80% of people say no, I don't need that. But with the new laws starting next
Mm.
year, individuals can claim on their taxes, and you'll have to. We don't give legal advice here, but check with your
Yeah.
accountant. But the law states that you can claim up to $1,000 as an individual in your charitable giving and your taxes, and whether you itemize or not,
Nice.
and up to $2,000 as a household couple. And so think
Ah,
about if you're just somebody who
nice.
gives, $100 a month to support philanthropy, for example,
Mhm.
you can write all of that off as a tax write-off. So it's
I
just
love
it.
it.
So now it benefits the whole population, not just anybody who pays taxes. It benefits them. So we try to
That's
make it
great.
beneficial not just for our mission, but for the heart and wallet of our generous donors.
I feel like you have to, make things, enticing sometimes to kinda
Yeah.
sell the idea of why, you're going to give. Okay, well, the why is it's gonna make me feel good as a person to give to this and that. But where's my benefit? Oh, well, it's a 501(c)(3). I can do this over here. I can do that over here. So that is just in a nutshell, like what sets you apart from doing a GoFundMe for your dog or your cat or, whatever your pet baby is. That is amazing. What about crypto? I have to ask because people are gonna wanna know.
Yes, yes.
What about
Spoiler
crypto?
alert. Spoiler alert. That is coming very soon. Hopefully, we're about,
Really?
depending on when this airs, it might even be on our website by then. But yes, we're working on that where literally you'll click a button. We already have the infrastructure. We're just, it's a third party that we use. And so we're
Nice.
just working on the registrations with them. But yes, you can literally click a button and donate crypto. So one more. So think about that
Amazing.
as if you're a pet parent, and I know there's a lot more popular more well known and longer, been around a lot longer than us. But think about, do you want to tap into just that 2% with with GoFundMe and those platforms, or do you want to be able to tap into all wealth, all money,
Oh,
all means? You
yeah,
know?
yeah, absolutely, like, it's a no-brainer to tap
Yeah.
into all the things,